Welcome to another new video of interesting math problem on our channel Math Solutions for You. Please do like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. A perfect number is a positive integer that is equal to the sum of its positive divisors, including 1 but excluding the number itself. Find the sum of reciprocals of all factors of the perfect number 496, inclusive of 1 and 496, meaning that when we are taking the sum of the reciprocals of the factors, we need to include 1 as well as the number itself, which is 496. So an obvious way to do this problem is to list out all possible factors of 496, then take the reciprocals and take the sum of the reciprocals. And if we do this, term by term, factor by factor, it's going to be somewhat of a drawn-out process because 496 has got several factors. It's not just, just a couple of factors. It's got more than a couple. And we will basically see that. So we start by, basically trying to get a sense of what the factors of 496 are. And here we are including 1, then 2 is an obvious factor, it's an even number, 4 is a factor, 8 is a factor, 16 is a factor. Now, I have also gone out as far as 31 to list out 31 specifically because if it may appear to some that based on those first few factors, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, that there is a kind of a pattern there. But that pattern breaks when you also see that the 31 is a factor. So that's why I listed it here. And then, of course, this goes all the way till 496. That's obvious. That's the number itself. So that will be kind of the last factor in that line, right? So let's look at the sum that we are asked to find out. And note that I have just gone till 31, but then there are also additional factors in between 31 and 496 that I have not listed, like 62, for example, is another factor which I have not included there, and there are many more probably in there. But the method that I'm going to show doesn't necessarily rely on you having to find each factor term by term and list them all out. This is just to get a sense of the general methodology and what we're asked to find out that I've listed some of those factors there. And then this is the sum of the reciprocals that we're asked to find out. And again, I've included 1 and the number 496 itself. But basically, the sum of the reciprocals goes like this, like it's 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4, and so on. And remember, again, I want to point out to the fact that looking at the first few terms, like 1 and half and 1/4 and 1/8, it seems like there's a pattern, but there isn't because you have terms like 1 by 31 in there, which obviously breaks that pattern of, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Right? So once we realize that, now what do we do about this? So this is not necessarily going to be a GP series, right? Of half, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, because we have a 1 by 31 term. So this is not a GP series, but there is something common in those denominators because those denominators are all factors of 496. So if I am to take the least common multiple or the LCM of all of those denominators, that's going to be 496. Because we know that all of those denominators in those reciprocal terms are factors of 496, right? So just like we do, sum of 2 or more fractions, what we do is we, take the LCM, the least common multiple of those denominators, right? And we'll do that here. So we have 496 as the LCM in the denominator, and then the numerator becomes, of course, for the first term, which is 1, that becomes 496. And then the second term is 496 by 2, so I'm calling out the terms on the numerator, right? The third term is 496 by 4, and then we have 496 by 8, and so on, right? And the very last term, that's 1. That's basically 496 by 496, which becomes 1, right? So those are the terms in the numerator when we have 496 in the denominator in this sum of the reciprocals. And if you look at the terms that are in the box, what are those terms? Well, those are basically 496 divided by, one of its factors. That's how those terms are generated. So, for example, when you divide 496 by 2, you are getting another factor of 496, right? So basically, when you divide 496 by any one of its factors, you are basically ending up with another factor of 496. So that those terms that you have within the box, they are essentially the sum of the different factors of 496, right? And that includes 1, but excludes the number 496 itself. And since 496 is a perfect number, we know that the sum of its positive divisors, including 1, but excluding the number itself, will be equal to 496. So we can write the numerator as 496, which is the first term. So that's not within the box. But then we have realized that the terms that we are getting within the box, they are essentially the sum of all the factors of 496, including 1, but excluding the number 496 itself. And this, we know, this sum of all factors of 496, including 1, but excluding 496, will be equal to 496 because it's given that 496 is a perfect number, and that's basically the definition of a perfect number. So here we can replace that as by 496. So our numerator becomes 496 plus 496, and our denominator is still 496. So it's easy to see that this will simply come to 2. So the correct answer in this case is 2. And note that here in this particular method, we have found the sum of reciprocals of all the factors of 496 without even listing all the factors term by term, or even without knowing how many factors are there. We didn't even utilize that information, right? I just listed out some, and like I said, there are many more factors which I haven't included. But that's the beauty of this method, because this doesn't rely on you taking time to list out all possible factors and then, taking their sum term by term and doing all those fraction math and coming to the same answer. But you'll take a lot more time doing that than the method that I showed.